Hello there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to the Trinity Stamps YouTube channel. Today I am playing with a brand new press plate from our latest out of this world release. It's called Starfield. I'm going to make a galaxy background with it, and we're playing with this new stamp set, the Astronomical Gnomes. It is so cute with 3 different gnomes. They're all kind of birthday themed with like planet balloons, a rocket balloon. It's really cute. There is this little planet or Earth that you can set in the corner to set your scene, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I've stamped out the images I want to use on my card, and I'm coloring this up with my alcohol markers. So you can see I'm starting with my lightest of my 3 tones of blue here. I'm going to fill in the entire water part of this. So I'm going to fill it in with my lightest color completely first. Once I get that completely filled in, I'm going to come in with my darkest tone. I wanted to have like the effect that the water is darker in the deeper parts of the ocean and lighter around the edges of the land. So that's what I'm doing here, and I think it turns out really good. It's a fun way to color it, and this image is not too big, so it colors up pretty quickly, but you can still have fun playing with the coloring techniques with the shading. So now I'll bring in my mid-tone and kind of spread that out, blend the colors, and then the lightest I'll go over the edges of this and really soften it out, and it just is really cool. I love how it turned out. So then I'm going to bring in some greens and do the land, and I have G19 here, and I'm coloring in all of the shape with this color and filling in all of the little islands, the little land pieces with that. Once I've done that with all of the land, then I'll bring in my darkest and keep the darkest color towards the edge. Bring in my mid-tone, and I'm going to color that almost all the way down to the edge or the inner part of the land, and then just go over that with my lightest color to really blend it out. I'll repeat that with all of them to complete this, and I love how that water turned out. Now it is time to color our astronome and his cute little spacesuit. I am bringing in my tonal gray markers, starting with my darkest color because these areas are so small. I'm starting with T4, so giving this just the lightest little bit of shadowing on what I'm going for is the bottom right side, and then I'll bring in my T2 to make that shadowy area a little bit bigger on each of those areas. And I'm doing each of the areas I want this color at the same time because they're so small that I have time to do that. And then my lightest color here is going to be T1. So I'm going to color almost the whole entire image with this. And then I did decide to bring in a 4th marker, but this is my colorless blender. So I'm going to just soften out those edges and give it a nice highlight with this, and that's just going to kind of push back the color a little bit and soften it out, and it does the trick for this. I haven't used this in a long time, and I love how it turned out. All right, for the other little parts and pieces, I thought I'd bring in some color. So I have orange here that I'm going for on little accents and parts of his suit. So I have my YR16 that I'm using and just coloring those in. Really simple, really easy. And then I'm adding a little bit darker shade here, going around the edge on the little details, putting little shadows in. And because they're so tiny, it's really easy to get away with just doing 2 markers. And then I'll bring back that lightest color and complete coloring and blending with those. But we still have a few little parts to color on our gnome, and they were really easy, so I did those off camera. I also colored in the rocket gray and blue and added in my white gel pen highlight. So the blues that I used on the rest of the gnome and the rocket is the same blues I used on the water. I easily colored in his skin and added a little bit more gray to his beard, but really trying to keep the beard looking white. So pretty fun to do. I love coloring in these cute little gnomes. All right, now the star of the show is this Starfield letterpress plate. Letterpress plates are new to the Trinity Stamps line. This is one of 2 that is our first. This one is called Starfield. The other one's called Time Warp. They're both very cool, great for our outer space release, but also they can be used for other occasions, I feel. So I pulled out this silver foil that has like like an iridescent finish to it, and then my white cardstock, and I'm going to hot foil this because not only can you do letterpress with these plates, but they hot foil beautifully. Take a look at that. It is so good. I love it. So remember, you can do ink and run it through the better press. It's going to press into your paper, and I have also done that. But for this card, I really wanted those bright shiny stars. And if you are new to hot foiling or you haven't hot foiled before, you should know that you can do ink blending over the top of these backgrounds. Now, if you want more in-depth look at how to hot foil, there are plenty of videos out there. I know I kind of like glossed over that part, but you do need a hot foil system to do that. All right, so now back to my ink blending here. I'm just using the ink that I have on my brushes. These brushes have been used with oxide inks, so I've got orange, green, and blue, but not specific colors. Like I said, just whatever was on my brush. And then once I have my color down, I'm going to go over this, but not completely cover the colors. Just kind of go around them and leave some of the color there. You'll be able to see some of it through the black, and some areas are going to be darker with the black, and that's really the look that you want for a galaxy background. And I just thought using the Starfield plate in the background with the hot foiling, ink blending over the top was the simplest way to make a galaxy background. You really don't need to add much more to this at all. It is perfect. So if you have been looking for an easy galaxy background, I would say this is one of those. And also throughout this month, when our design team is sharing their cards, there's going to be a lot of different ways you can use not only this plate, but make different night skies, different galaxy skies. So really tune into that. And if you're new to the channel, I have to tell you, because I'm the design team coordinator, that we have some amazing people on our design team with really unique points of view, great style, and you're going to get lots of different ideas. So if you haven't subscribed to the Trinity channel, be sure to do that because I don't think you'll be disappointed. All right, so now I spritzed a little water on that and picked it up with a paper towel just to give it a little bit more depth, because the water spots will lighten up the color in some area, and I like that like variety of color. All right, so now I'm gluing on my pieces. I added my earth, I've added my sentiment, which says, wishing you an astronomical birthday. I added my planet, but I wasn't quite happy with the white edge on that. It didn't blend in with the sky that it's sitting in, right? It's part of that background. So I brought back in my T markers. This time T5 seemed to go really well with that black soot. So that's the color I'm coloring that white border with. Doesn't it look so much better? Yes. Okay, so now it's time to glue our background down to a card base. I went with black because it really draws your eye into the center, but also really, I don't know, it kind of darkens that look versus having a white border. For my Astro Gnome, I'm going to pop him up right there in the center with some foam squares to really set him apart from that background. All right, now it is time for a little embellishment. So in the Astronomical Gnomes stamp set, there are these fat, solid stars. They're like chubby little stars. So I'm going to stamp those out on white paper. I'm using clear embossing ink, and then I'm going to sprinkle on some black embossing powder with glitter in it. I'm pretty sure I made this powder myself. Just mixing black embossing powder with a little bit of fine glitter. So I'll tap off the excess that was stuck there, heat set these so I can melt that embossing powder, and then it's time to die cut them out with the coordinating dies. These are just so cute. I love when stamp sets have those little extra pieces that you can use to like add to the look of your card. So that's what these stars are, and they're so cute. Do you see how they're like chubby rounded stars? Yeah, adorable. So this is going to be the embellishment on my card. You could totally use any of the over 500 embellishments in the Trinity shop. Plus there's a bunch that just came out with this release. You've got to check those out if you haven't already. Oh, such good embellishments. But I'm going to use these today. I thought black stars, I don't know, that shine went well with this card. So that's what I did. So that completes my card for today. I hope that you're inspired to make a really fun, galaxy background. I think the background for me is like the funnest part of the card. If you have yet to check out the Trinity stamps or latest release, it's completely outer space themed, from aliens to astronauts to rockets to UFOs. So make sure you check it out. There's some super cute stuff, and also find tons of inspiration on our Instagram, our Facebook, and YouTube channel as well. I'll see you again very soon. Happy stamping! Bye!